So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today in this discussion. My name is Ateki Seta Caxton. I am the director of the Network for Solidarity, Empowerment and Transformation for All, NewSETA based in Cameroon. So NewSETA is a youth organization working to promote democracy and peace in Cameroon and to get youth effectively involved in the democratic process. So today we are going to be discussing and sharing our perspectives on how we've been engaging young people on constructive democratic transitions, and to see how we can find entry points in our different initiatives to promote the African movement for democracy, which is a budding youth movement on the continent. So with me on the panel today, I have Tijani Togola from Mali. He is actually the initiator of the Democracy Tech Squad initiative in Mali, as well as the Turundi movement. I also have Leila and Ibrahim, but I would want to give each of them the floor to introduce themselves before we actually dive into the discussions. So Tijani, I want to begin with you.
Hello everyone, thank you Ateki. My name is Tijani Togola. I'm the founder of Democracy Tech Squad and Turundi Foundation. I'm an IT person, and I'm also I'm also the executive director of Turundi Foundation. Actually, our organization is more specialized in the use of ICTs to support economical, social development in Mali and in Africa. And the Democracy Tech Squad is also an African organization that aims to put together different activists who use ICT to conduct their activism to support democracy, good governance, and human rights. And this network is actually present in Mali and 15 countries in West Africa and 2 countries in East Africa. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Tijani, for the introduction. We're very glad to have you on this panel. So let's go to Leila. Leila, you're with the African Forum Democracy Forum. So let us know more about you, and thank you for joining us on this panel. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ateki. Yeah, I'm Leila Kaitesi with the Africa Democracy Forum, currently based in Kigali. We are a group of, we are a network of over 450 civil society organizations across Africa, working towards having a democratic Africa that is open, inclusive, and where the civil society has their space and are able to effectively fulfill their mandates within their respective countries. So currently we're working with our members as a network to share information and to have a uniform platform where we can air out issues as a continent and hopefully resolve them, to fulfill the mandate of the organization.
Okay, thank you so much for being on the panel and for joining us, Leila. And let me finally get to Ibrahim. Ibrahim, we are very happy to have you on this panel. So just get to a few words about yourself and how you've been engaged.
Thank you very much. My name is Ibrahim Tommy. I work for an organization called Center for Accountability and Rule of Law in Sierra Leone. We basically work to promote human rights through accountability. So here in Sierra Leone, we are working on a number of initiatives aimed at promoting accountability for social and economic crimes. We're also working at community level to increase citizens and participation in governance, as well as transparency in the way local administrative bodies are run. We also work on electoral justice issues. So basically, all of what we do seeks to ensure that we promote democracy and human rights in Sierra Leone, and we're doing that at 2 levels, at the national level and also through grassroots mobilization. So yeah, that's what we do here in Sierra Leone for the most part.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ibrahim Tommy. I think I've heard a lot about you and your work in Sierra Leone as well. So just a brief introduction about the African Movement for Democracy. This movement actually has been coming a long way since the U.S. Africa Summit of August 2014. So during that summit, the World Movement for Democracy actually did hold a meeting with a cross-section of African civil society and political society leaders to discuss about the challenges and priorities of democracy engagement in Africa. So we have had several meetings that followed up that particular U.S. Africa summit. So there was the meeting in March 2015 in Dakar, Senegal, which I think Ibrahim Tomi was in that meeting, as well as Tijani. I don't know Tijani actually, but so this meeting actually has led to the consensus from different young people attending that meeting that there should be some sort of a youth task force and a youth platform where young people can actively engage in promoting democracy issues and governance issues on the African continent. Now, later on in that same year, 2015, the World Movement for Democracy did hold a in Nigeria, where there was a stronger inclination among the members who were attending to actually accelerate the process towards creating this African Movement for Democracy as a platform to really serve young people to have a cross-border exchange on the continent. So now, just before the Tanzania meeting, which is also another meeting that is organized by the World Movement for Democracy, together with the Africa program of the National Endowment for Democracy, as well as the National Democratic Institute, the International Republican Institute, as well as the Young Africa Leaders Initiative platform across Africa. In the next, I think next week, they will be rallying youth from across Africa in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. And so this meeting is going to be a platform where young people actually share experiences and discuss how we can join efforts to effectively engage in promoting good governance on the African continent. So it is just prior to this meeting that we thought it wise to be able to share country perspectives and see how we can effectively start building a roadmap towards accelerating the African Movement for Democracy platform in our different initiatives, in our different activities, in our different countries. And so, like Tijani actually mentioned in the background before we came live, several members have actually taken the lead to be able to develop critical documents of the African Movement for Democracy, including constitutive act, including program of action, tentative program of action, which is still being fine-tuned. And so this particular discussion is just to be able to see how we can have new perspectives, new input, and find different entry points as to how the African Movement for Democracy can take advantage of the different initiatives, wonderful initiatives that are being carried out on the continent, and to be able to effectively serve young people, well, particularly, as well as democracy activists in general, to promote democracy in the African continent. So I would actually still want to come back to you, you all, just to be able to find out from you the different particular experiences that you've had with your initiative. I want to come back to Tijani with implementing the democracy tech squad. What have been your main successes so far since you started the initiative?
Thank you very much. Democracy Tech Squad is an initiative of the Foundation, and talking about our main success, we are working a lot on issues like accountability. I mean, the public, the control of the public action And what we have done so far is setting up with the support of, of course, with the support of the Africa program of NED. We set up a platform that we call Sensor, and this platform helps population people to access to the information about the way the government is you know, implementing his program, so people can know what the government have done, and compare the work with what they have in the official program. They can also control the parliament through this platform, and we do through this the same platform the fact-checking approach also. And also the second element that is really very interesting is we set up very recently another web platform that helps to understand and to follow the implementation of the what we call the accord, I mean, peace agreement in the peace agreement in Mali. We also, through this second platform, control the the respectation of the new law, I mean general law, gender balance law in Mali. We have also set up two Android application that people can install for free and on their mobile phone, so they can follow the the implementation of the peace agreement. That is a really very big challenge in Mali. We do support institutional organization, for example, in the local area and even in the national area. We help the municipality of Sikasso, Bamako, and Egu with a web portal, so they can talk to people what they are doing, and also we help them to digitalize some process like paying service with the mayor, the different service that we can have in the organization. And we do train people. We conduct many trainings in Mali and in different countries in Africa, as well as supporting different organizations with ICT, so they can conduct election observation. Actually, we've had many success stories to share, and the most important success for me for Democracy Tech Squad is capability to put together different persons from different specialty and from different country. I mean, this kind of diversity, put all them together so to give some very interesting results.
Wow, thank you so much, Ibrahim. Thank you so much, Tidjani. Sorry, I just wanted to go back to Ibrahim and ask him just maybe the same question that I asked Tidjani. What have been the main successes of your campaign in Leone?
Thank you very much. We have been working, as I said earlier on, for the last, and there has been quite a lot of success stories. If we just look at legislative or legal reforms, there's a lot to talk about, because we remember had a 10-year civil war in Sierra Leone, and that war ended in 2002. And after that, after the end of the conflict, we needed to rebuild our country, and we needed to rebuild our institutions, reform our laws, and basically put us on a path of recovery. Since the end of the war, as an organization, we have contributed a lot to efforts at reforming our laws, so that here in Sierra Leone we have some of the most progressive gender protection laws that seek to protect women and girls. We also have a local government act, which was passed in 2004. That law basically is, in fact, one of the key laws in the country that ensures that there is 50% women's representation at local council level. That's impressive. We've also had laws that seek to provide legal aid, legal assistance to indigent citizens. So in terms of legal reforms, we've got a lot of successes. In terms of even institutional reforms, we work on reforming the judiciary and the justice system as a whole. So over the last 10 years, our work has helped to, for example, increase access to justice. Now we have the Legal Aid Act, which provides free legal assistance to indigent or poor citizens. That was the law that we contributed to advocating for its enactment. And since the law was passed, we did a lot of work to help set up the Legal Aid Board, which has done an incredibly good job since it was set up. And we also worked on prison reforms. So we have a law, a very progressive law that seeks to reform our prisons. Now, in terms of mobilizing people at community level, because of the work that we do at community level, we have been able to, for example, reduce incidents of violence against women and girls. And remember, there is a connection, there's a nexus between violence and women's ability to participate in politics, to participate in decision making. So we have said we really want women and girls to come forward to participate in politics, whether at their community level, whether at the village level, whether at the national or district level. We have to make sure that we reduce the levels of violence that women and girls face every day. So because of the community mobilization work that we've done, we've worked with various structures at the community level to ensure that people who commit acts of violence against women are held accountable. And because we have helped set up these accountability mechanisms, and men who are unfortunately, for the most part, guilty of violence against men have been brought to justice, and that has helped to reduce incidents of violence against women and girls in the communities that we work. And we're hoping that when we get our next general elections, we'll have more women representation in parliament. But that's not all. We have also done quite a bit of work in the constitutional review process. Remember, our constitution has been reviewed more than 20 or so years since it was passed. And we have worked tremendously to make sure that young people participate, women importantly join the movement in the country to ensure that the issues that affect women that need to be included in the constitution are addressed. For example, our constitution discriminates against women along customary or cultural lines. We have moved strongly to make sure that that particular provision in the constitution is repealed. So these are some of the legal and constitution reforms and institutional reforms that we have brought about. But generally during elections, especially the last election, we did quite a lot of work on electoral justice issues, making sure that we had a peaceful election, violent-free elections. But those who are accused of electoral violence, they are also brought to justice. But generally, we are a big advocacy group here in Sierra Leone, and we advocate on a lot of governance and human rights issues. You heard about our Ebola crisis. So in addition to the fact that we worked a lot in terms of mobilizing communities, we also worked a lot in terms of making sure that the rights of people were respected, even though we are in a crisis.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ibrahim. Really, really great experience in Sierra Leone. I want to come back to Leila now with the same question. I think I just want to first of all to get some grasp as to what you're doing in your different countries and how that is sort of impacting the democratic transition process. So, Leila, what is your experience in Kigali, actually?
Sorry, what is my experience in?
in Kigali. You say you're based in Kigali, right?
Yes, yes, we are. We are currently, the Secretariat of the African Democracy Forum is currently based in Kigali as of this year. I may not be able to go into details of all the achievements because that would require me to get into details of all the achievements of all our members, because the success of the Africa Democracy Forum is dependent on the success of its members achieving what they're doing in their respective countries. But I will say that for us, it has been the acknowledgement that various African countries and indeed the youth in those countries are at various levels, different levels of achieving their democratic goals. So the acknowledgement that we need to work together, it cannot be done individually by one state leaving the other African countries behind. So working together is indeed a success for us. We have had representation from all regions in Africa who are committed towards having a democratic Africa. And we have engaged our members because we provide a platform for mainly for sharing of information between our members. We may have a particular challenge that the activists or the civil society organizations in one country are facing that they may not necessarily be able to address on their own or have the best methods to achieve what they're trying to achieve, and we can link them up with other members within our organizations who have gone through similar challenges or faced similar situations, and they're able to assist one another to, work together. So we have had, in terms of engaging the youth, which is what the African Movement for Democracy is really working towards, mainly most of our civil society organizations, and the trend in Africa has been that the youth are rising up, the youth are beginning to recognize the role that they play in society and the importance of them being participating within their respective countries, addressing the issues that they face, because as Africa, we don't face the same issues. They may be similar in their concept, but they affect different countries differently. So most of our member civil society organizations are led by youth. The youth are actively participating in governance and democracy related issues within their countries, with the most recent example being in Zimbabwe. We're having members such as Zim Rights, which is basically fighting for human rights, defending human rights. We're moving away from fighting, so they're defending human rights, and yeah, they're really actively following up on all the human rights issues that are taking place within Zimbabwe. And we also have Organizing for Zimbabwe, which is our member civil society organization. And through organizations such as which are youth-led, we are seeing they're having an effect on changes that are taking place within their country, such as the recent High Court ruling that allowed, peaceful demonstrations to happen in Harare, which is basically what we would want to see happen all over Africa. Yeah.
Wow. So thank you all once more for this very, very insightful briefings about what you're doing in your different countries, and as well as what the African Democracy Forum is doing across the continent through its members. I think we have seen how you're making a difference in terms of helping young people gain capacity in democratic governance, in engaging in peace issues, getting legal reforms, improving the conditions of women, and so many initiatives. Now, I just wanted to ask, from your experiences, what have been the role of the media in your activities, and how have you been able to synergize with other movements in your different countries, in terms of maybe adding synergy and impetus and effectiveness to your work? Like when you look at the African movement for the African Forum for Africa Democracy Forum, sorry, it works through its members, and I would be coming back to Leila just to be able to ask your experience with this sort of synergy. But I want to ask Tidjani, you say the Democracy Tech Squad initiative is now in different regions of Africa, like West Africa, you have East Africa, and so on. Now, what has been your experience working in synergy with different organizations across the continent and driving this sort of movement forward? In terms of the skills, I just want you to address maybe your experiences in terms of the skill sets of those that you're working with, the time that they're able to, dedicate for this particular activity, as well as the role of the media. So how have they been making use of these particular three components of advocacy work through your initiatives in Africa? Tijani.
Thank you very much, Ateki. In terms of the role of media, the first thing that we have done, is to set up what we call a media forum. For example, this experience, we've done this one in making a big synergy between media, civil society, and also our organization through the creation of what we call media and civil society forum, and we put all those actors, conventional media actors, bloggers, all actors who are really very active, of course, in the newspapers, all actors, we put them together, and then we start to talk with them, and we start to design a kind of roadmap together, and to discuss what we are going to address. And then we also give a space so they can exchange information, because media sometimes need data, they need experts to analyze some specific question, or sometimes they need to access to other elements. And civil society organizations sometimes need media to give more voice to what they are doing, and also to even sometimes they need them so they can, design their own communication plan or those kind of things. So we have created this platform in Mali, so they can work together. This is the first one in Mali, and we are trying to have the same thing in the different country also. And in terms of skills, our network, we do provide complementary training to people, and now we even decide to set up what we call the Democracy Textual Leadership Academy, and this project is also supported by Africa program of NED, as well as by the Open Society Initiative Foundation for West Africa. Through this academy, people will be able to get professional formation training on specific issue, and also they will have a space to ask to get this very specific skill, so they can better address the different issues they are faced to. But in general, people who are in our network comes already with their own skills. This is very important to mention. For example, we have some person who are more lower people. We have some person. They work in low area, and we have other person who are more in media. We have some person who are more engineers. So they come with some skills already. And what we try to do is to give them the basic skills on what we want in terms of supporting democracy and increasing youth participation and leadership, those kind of things. And sometimes they ask specific skills to get, so we provide this kind of training. In terms of time, you ask, well, let this work is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing, and this is why I enjoy what I'm doing, working with people and trying to make things differently, innovating. This is what I enjoy. So in terms of time, I even will not be able to tell you how much in terms of time, because normally we're supposed to work 8 hours per day, but I'm working more than 10. So because I enjoy it. So,
I see.
yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
okay, Tijani, thank you so much for the different takes there. Leila, I just wanted to ask you about your experience with with these aspects, but more like looking at how you are able to assess the effectiveness of your work. I mean, to have a large movement and a large sort of umbrella organization that works across the continent. Sometimes you can just be involved in very gigantic processes, and to be able to assess like how you've been able to move from point A to point B, and as well as the different benchmarks that you might use may seem daunting. But I just want to draw from your experience, what has it been your different strategies to be able to see how effective you've been? I mean, you can address it through the skill sets and the timing and the resources, whatever, but I just wanted to know, sometimes we as young people might be so passionate about getting to move forward with the African movement for democracy, and yeah, but it's very important we know what exactly we want to achieve and how we should be able to achieve that, and it's very important to draw from experience. So how has it been, with you assessing how effective you've been on the field?
Okay, thanks a lot. I think the key benchmark is to see our members achieving what they set out to achieve. So
Okay.
the strategy, the main thing that we use, and I think it's important even at the national level, not only at the continental or regional level, is that we come from a point of inclusiveness. We want to include and engage our members in each and every decision that we take, in each and every program that we're trying to implement, so that they get a sense of ownership. They're able to push it, they're able to give it life based on the fact that they own it. It's theirs, it came from our members. It's not some sort of top-down sort of leadership. So we engage our members a lot, and that has been the basis or the foundation of what we have been able to achieve so far. We still have a long way to go as a continent, as individual countries within the continent, but the progress that we have been able to make so far has been dependent on including all our actors, all our stakeholders in each and everything that we do, which would be key to any member of the youth who is looking to make a change or have an impact in their country. It does not start with, I believe in this and therefore I must be right. It's, I believe in this. What do other people think? What do the people who I am trying to get to change their mind, where are they coming from? What's their viewpoint? And then from that point of trying to engage one another, you come up with solutions, some of which are better than what you had come up on your own. So yeah, that would be my key strategy that has enabled the Africa Democracy Forum to be able to do what it has been able to do so far. Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much, Leila. I think we would need to capitalize on that. But so Ibrahim, I want to come back to you and ask you the same question as to how you assess the effectiveness of the sort of movements that you belong to in Sierra Leone, or the movements that you build in Sierra Leone. At the same time, what has been the role of the skills, the resources that you have, and the timing, as well as using the media? How has this really been able to help you assess your effectiveness?
Thank you very much. I mean, as you can appreciate, there are always resource gaps here and there. You are never going to have all the skill set that you need at a given time. And time is of the essence, and sometimes time works in two ways. It's done in a timely manner, but more importantly, you have to take advantage of the opportunities so that all of these can combine to give you the outcomes that you need. So here's what we have done for the most part, and this is what has worked for us. We try to network a lot. We network not only with grassroots organizations, we also network with folks in government. There are progressive people in government. There are key actors in government, in various institutions of government that you can rely on. For example, if you need a policy change, if you need to narrow the implementation gap in our laws or policies, you need the folks who need to take that, who are responsible for making such decisions. So I'll give you an example. We embarked on a campaign of transforming the judiciary about 5 years ago, and part of that plan was to increase the salaries, or well, advocate for the salaries of judges and magistrates to be increased, to also increase the number of magistrates and judges in our courts. So what we did was not only to work with a network here in Sierra Leone called the Budget Advocacy Network, but we also worked with actors within the Ministry of Finance, worked with actors within the judiciary itself, and other civil society organizations, so that, for example, when there was an opportunity to go for a budget hearing, we are all there, and for 2 or 3 consecutive years, we will attend the budget hearings and we will make our positions, and that helped. Today, I can assure you that the salaries of judges and magistrates have increased significantly, and every judicial district now has a sitting magistrate, and that's phenomenal in the sense that for nearly 10 years after the war, we didn't have resident magistrates in every judicial district. So I gave that as an example for you to know how networking, how building contacts, with very good people in government, how using the scarce resources that you have in a very strategic to bring about changes, and changes in a very sustainable way. In Sierra Leone, we are blessed that we have a very vibrant media and a very vibrant civil society. Of course, there are 1 or 2 laws that sadly inhibit our efforts to really build movement and go out there to protest and demand for accountability. But to the extent that we need to put our voices out there, we have a very vibrant media. The traditional media, you have newspapers, maybe about 60 registered newspapers. Every district has about 2 or 3 community radio stations. So we have used those community-based radio stations and a very vibrant print media to put our voices out there, so that when you launch an initiative, you have journalists, a broadcast journalist, print journalist, who are attending, and they are giving you airtime, they are giving you the opportunity to serve as a guest in their studios, and that is helping really to make sure that our voices are out there. But then there is the social media, and I'm glad to have heard a lot from Tijani, and this is something that we have to do in a more creative way in Sierra Leone. In the last couple of years, smartphones have penetrated our countryside. Internet penetration is still low, but you have more users now. And once the fiber optic project, which our government is implementing, takes off, I like to believe that about 50 or 60% of Sierra Leoneans will have access to smartphones, and that will provide an opportunity for on ICT and other tech-based initiatives to put our messages across. But at the minute, we have used traditional media to great effect, and social media is also penetrating. So those are opportunities that we're latching on to. Let me just make a general comment. I think for all of Africa, what we've got to do is to make sure that we build on ongoing reforms, opportunities that present themselves. Because I can think of a few countries, including mine and Liberia, that are undertaking constitutional reforms. If we can, for example, use that as an opportunity to make sure that the issues that affect you, the issues that undermine our democratic credentials are addressed through those constitutional provisions, that would be an opportunity. And again, I was glad, and I really appreciate some of the initiatives that Tijani and indeed Laila, of course, Ateki, all of you guys are working on in the countries that you come from, and of course across the continent, because I like to think that ICT is honestly the future of Africa. In other parts of the world, it is a reality now, but for much of Africa, let's say it's the future, because as much as penetration, but it hasn't penetrated to the level that we want. Now, once we're able to do that, I can assure you that in terms of penetration, in terms of participation, in terms of holding our leaders accountable, in terms of making sure that the key issues that confront us are put out there and we are able to mobilize members of the public to come on board and make sure that we get them, ICT is the future for us. There's also an opportunity. Again, there are statistics all over the world that Africa has the highest youth population of all the continents of the world. That's an opportunity. Of course, it's a challenge in itself, but it's an opportunity. How do we transform that challenge into an opportunity? How do we make sure that there's the creativity, the energy, you know, just the passion that youth have in terms of just creating, in terms of participation, in terms of seeking knowledge? How do we transform all of those to make where we want to be? So those are sort of the few issues I wanted to throw out there. And in concluding, at least for now, to say that there is a consensus, I mean, even among the older folks, that youth in Africa need to participate. Youth in Africa need education, they need skills, they need jobs. Yeah. And that we need to do more to promote democracy. We need to do more to include women in governance. We need to do more to reform our institutions and laws. Now that the problem is to make sure that we move from this consensus to action, to making sure that all of the things that we agree on become a reality. And that's really what we will continue to work on. And I'm sure that's what we're all working on.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Ibrahim. The very, very great experiences there. So for us in Cameroon, it's not very different from what's going on in your different countries. My organization, the Network for Solidarity, Empowerment and Transformation for All, is actually involved in a campaign to reduce the voting age, to lower the voting age from 20 to 18, just to permit young people who are considered adults, who are no longer considered children, as it takes maybe in your different countries, to be able to have the ability to vote. It's a year now since we started the campaign, and it's currently ongoing, and we are hopeful that the changes would come, but we need to continue the campaign and aim for the long haul. I think on that basis, just to see that the way we can assess our achievements in our different countries, sometimes it cannot really just be in the immediate, because the nature of our activities sometimes may take a long term or the medium term in order for us to see clear results. So, but then I think if the conditions and situations we're working on don't deteriorate, I think that we can still count that as success. Yeah, like the experience of Leila with the ADF, and looking at how young people themselves are engaging with the African Democracy Forum through their different countries as well. Sometimes you want to see how they themselves are working and achieving results before you can be able to aggregate those results into a very big picture, onto what has been the major shifts and transitions on the continent, which may not really be immediately obvious. So I think already we have little time left for us to be able to still discuss. I think there is so much that I would have loved to ask you guys, but I just wanted to ask this as a very, very something that would set the way forward for the African movement for democracy. Now, you've explained the different activities and the sort of campaigns and constructive work you're doing in the different countries as well as on the continent. Now, for a movement like the African Movement for Democracy to have a place where the youths find it as a relevant platform, to promote democracy and good governance on the continent. Like Ibrahim rightly mentioned a while ago, that there are always insufficiencies. There are always deficits. Even as Leila also mentioned, that it's a work in progress, and we always still have a long way to go. So yeah, this indicates that there is an opportunity and there is a need for maybe added resources into the sort of work that we're doing in our different countries. Now, if the African Movement for Democracy is coming in now to serve as a platform, what ways do you think we can be able to engage your different initiatives in your countries, to be able to build on those initiatives and to make these initiatives sort of synergize with others? Because the thing is, we could be working in our different countries and having initiatives that are similar to what is going on in different countries, but the deficit that we have is just that we're not able to share knowledge, that we have in our countries, as well as what is going on in different countries, just so we can mutually enrich ourselves. Now, do you think that the African Movement for Democracy would be a relevant platform when it focuses on the different deficits that you just mentioned a while ago, and to try as much as possible to find cross-cutting thematic areas which it can merge your different initiatives? Will that be a way, very, very serious way forward? Let me ask, Leila, just briefly. Or
I think Tidiane had something to say.
No, go ahead, Ms. Leila, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so I think when you're touching specifically on the youth, and your target is the youth, I think initially you need, as you said, to analyze, do some sort of baseline review and understand what are they doing, what are they capable of before you try to involve them as a group. Yeah, what are they capable of individually, what are they currently doing within their countries, and after you have established where they are at, then you need to come up with a way forward. Like, what is their plan? What do you envision for them to be able to achieve as a group? Why is it important for them to work together? And then get their core issues of interest. Like Ibrahim mentioned, the youth and ICT are like, a ring, and in Kiswahili we say chanda na pete, like they're one thing, so they work together. So you can use platforms that are of interest to them, and then use those platforms to educate them on matters governance, matters democracy, all issues that you're trying to address at the continental level. And the youth don't really need much convincing. They just need to be included. They need to be aware of what is going on and also what they can do. Once you plant the seed, I believe it will grow.
Okay, so thank you so much, Leila. Tidjani, you had something to say.
Yeah, thank you very much. Myself, I'm part of the person who are trying to set up this Africa movement. But my point is, it's something that Leila already talked a little bit about. I mean, the African movement should not be another movement. By this, I mean we need to build African movement on the different experience that the different organizations have already done. For example, the Africa Democratic Forum make some specific, they have some specific, we have to learn from those different experiences. We have to really benchmark so we can better plan what we are doing. And to be a successful organization, we need to build a vision, and this vision need to be shared by all members of African movement, so we can realize something. And we also don't need to change everything right now. We have to have some realistic objective, and to achieve those objectives, we have to learn from our mistake. Because when we will start, we will certainly do some mistake. We have to be able right now to have different tools so we can evaluate, we can evaluate our own approach. The networking is the key word in this movement. I mean, all organizations that will be part of it should really work like one organization when talking about issues. And we need to support each other. I mean, this support should be very, very, very important for all. I mean, we need to know that this organization will be here when we need it. So I think there are a lot of approach to do. And in terms of opportunity, it's a very good opportunity. And the opportunity also has different opportunity. We have ICTs. We can use them for doing anything today we want. But ICTs will not fix all problems that we have. I mean, we should start with human resource first. I mean, the manpower will be the first element that the network needs to support. And the networks should also play a leadership role in terms of conducting advocacy with, for example, the Africa organization, for example, Africa Union, and different other international organizations. This organization have good chance to move forward. If, in my point of view, it takes all those elements and together and make things happen. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tijani. So let me ask Ibrahim before we come to concluding remarks. So Ibrahim, we are sort of thinking about how to effectively engage the African movement for democracy. Yeah, so there have been different sort of perspectives. So not just youth, but also to find a particular niche for the African movement for democracy, as serving as a platform to encourage civil society and political society collaboration, actually fostering in a very strong manner cross-border relationships across the different organizations, and furthering the sharing of experiences across those networks as well. Yeah, these are different sort of entry points for the African movement for democracy. So it's just to be able to maybe get some advice from your experience in Sierra Leone. How do you see this movement, taking advantage of this sort of opportunities that exist in Sierra Leone, in Kigali, in Mali, in Cameroon, and in several other countries? How do you think we can best move forward while capitalizing on different opportunities and results that we hope to achieve?
Ibrahim, I think your microphone is off. Please open it.
Right. Yeah. Hello.
Let me unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Okay. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. So the landscape in Africa in terms of space for civil society participation is uneven, in the sense that we have seen in some countries where there has been an increase in tightening of the civil society space. There has been a constriction of the space, and some of the examples where some of these very draconian, unprogressive laws have been passed aimed at restricting civil society space. But then, like mine, civil society, at least for now, still enjoys some freedom to participate, to stand up, to speak up. That's important. Now, what I think we need to do going forward is to look at all the regional and even sub-regional organizations that exist, which we can use to make sure that that sort of collaboration that you're talking about, society and the political society, is enhanced. Because, for example, at the West African level, there's the ECOWAS and there's WACSO. We want to use WACSO, for example, as a forum that can help bring civil society voices. So, for example, Works of Sierra Leone and Works Up in all the 15 West African countries will now present, for example, the key issues that confront civil society, that confront youth participation, that confront our democracy, put it to the ECOWAS body and see how we can channel that. But we are not just talking about ECOWAS, we are also talking about AU, you are also talking about the East African, the South African, and even the Central African regional blocks. For me, that's an opportunity. But I think for the African Movement for Democracy, what you also have to do, like Lila said, you've got to do some scoping, some scanning of the environment. There are country-specific challenges. No two countries face similar challenges. So if you're able to get data on what are the key issues that confront all of us as a continent, and like Tijani said, you cannot really do everything at the same time. What you need to do perhaps is get a plan to say over the next 2 years, we are going to work on 1 or 2 key issues. And so all our partners, all the networks that we work with, we will work with them to make sure that we are enhancing their skills, we are sharing knowledge, we are basically capturing data on some of these issues. Perhaps every 2 or 3 years, you review your strategy and focus on perhaps, like I said, 1 issue or 2 issues that you think will have the resources and time to work on. But let's be honest, Africa is not a monolithic society. Every country has its own challenges. But for the African Movement for Democracy, you have to now say, going forward into maybe 2020, what we'd like to see is youth participation. What we'd like to see is a free space for movement, for civil society engagement. So those are some of the things that you've got to think about, or we have to think about, and then make sure we work together to address them. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibrahim. I think let's find a way to bring the discussion to a close. Leila, I don't know whether you are still able to get us, as well as Ibrahim, if as well as Tijani. Tijani, if Tijani is still online, because I think we just lost Tijani there. So Leila, I just wanted to. Okay, Tijani is back. Right, I just wanted to come to you guys so we can have our concluding remarks on this discussion, and yeah. So Leila, let me come to you and let's see how are you able to get us, Leila? Oh, and Tijani, your mic seems muted as well. Okay, so
yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was disconnected. You know, internet issue.
Oh, okay. So, right. Oh, so yeah. So Tijani, let's try to get your concluding remarks on this discussion. What is the way forward? What can we look forward to in the next couple of months for the African Movement for Democracy? Tijani? Oh, it seems Tijani. Okay, right.
The first thing that I will say is
I'm not getting you clearly. I think there's a challenge.
Okay, let's come back to Tijani in a moment.
Okay.
But Leila, oh, right, Tijani, can you be able to get us?
Yeah, I'm getting you, but I don't know if you're getting me.
Oh yes, we're getting you. We're getting you 5 on 5. So just go ahead with your concluding remarks.
So thank you very much. I think we have to move forward, and we have to include also, for example, Leila is someone who needs to be part of this this activity. By this, I mean we have to bring over person, over experiences with us, and we now need really to make the specific strategy. I mean, we have to write down our strategy, and we have to define what we want to achieve. I mean, our priority. And we have then to work. You know, there is not hundred way to take. We have work to do, and let's go ahead, but let's have good methodology, and let's have good people with us, and then let's change even those who may be able to help us to bring this you know, this positive change.
Thank you, Tijani. Thank you so much. Leila? Hi, Leila. Oh, I think we can't be able to get through to Leila there. So Ibrahim, let's get your concluding remarks on this, and what do you see as the way forward for the African movement for democracy?
I think it's a good initiative. It's a good. The idea is great, and I'm pleased that we have come this far. I think going forward, we just have to build on the work done across the continent. Let us don't pretend that nothing has been done. Let us accept that there are very good initiatives and some progress has been done. Let us capitalize on these various very creative, innovative ideas and see how we can bring all of those initiatives together, agree on a common, you know, objective for the African movement for democracy, and see who can contribute what are the skill gaps, what are the resource gaps, and how do we mobilize the skills and resources needed to get to where the African movement for democracy wants to be.
Okay, so I want to thank you all for this discussion, and I want to thank the World Movement for Democracy that has been constantly supporting the African Movement for Democracy initiative. So we continue to count on that support, and as well as the Africa Program and the National Endowment for Democracy has also been very, very strongly behind the African Movement for Democracy. I want to thank you, Ibrahim from Sierra Leone. I want to thank Tijani from Mali. I want to thank Leila from Kigali, who were all able to join us in this discussion. And I actually look forward to new sort of engagement with the African Movement for Democracy. I think your perspectives that we've been able to get through this discussion really matter a lot to the way forward, you know, to be able to drive the movement towards the different goals that we have been trying to develop so far. Yeah, so I think in the next couple of days or so, we shall be attending a meeting in Tanzania where we'll have to discuss more about this African movement for democracy, and we'll be sure to keep everyone posted about the different conclusions and the different outcomes of that exchange. So thank you again, and I wish you all the very, very brilliant outcomes of your initiatives in your different countries, and I look forward to engaging with you all again through the African Movement for Democracy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.